Anyone who plays Duel Links knows about Destiny Draw, a skill that's still really good today despite being released in game launch. When your life points are decreased by 2000 or more, you can choose the card that you draw in your next draw phase. It is a simple but powerful skill, which some people love and some people hate. I kinda like the idea of Destiny Draw, but I still personally want Destiny Draw to be nerfed. I like the idea of a skill that helps you turn the tables when you're in a difficult situation, but Destiny Draw can be such a good win condition on its own, that people are encouraged to use a bunch of stall cards like Kiteroid, Veil, and Princess to control the battle damage they take. Facing a bunch of these hand traps is just annoying. Normally battle hand traps are balanced around the fact that they don't disrupt the opponent, or gain you any card advantage on their own. But Destiny Draw rewards them by letting them draw whatever they want. There are two ways of solving this issue. We either nerf Destiny Draw, or limit all stalling hand traps, and personally I want both to happen. Destiny Draw fundamentally changes how people play Duel Links, by making them play around the skill by never dealing more than 2000 damage. It's too powerful of a win condition that encourages players to either play more stall cards or reduce their own life points with card effects, making certain mediocre cards borderline broken. Resolving Destiny Draw usually wins you the game, or at least significantly helps you achieve your win condition, which is quite a serious issue. Stalling hand traps are another problem. They are mainly used in Destiny Draw decks, but also see play in other monster-heavy decks like Andorra and Thunder Dragons in the past, both of which have been really powerful meta decks. A few of them are fine, but when cards like Sphere Karibo and White Princess are unlimited, it starts to get very annoying even if you win in the end. But how should we nerf Destiny Draw? The most important thing is to make it require your life points to be lower than a set amount, instead of needing you to take a set amount of damage. This slight change prevents Battle in Box Veil from triggering the skill, because it heals you right after. The life point requirement could also be further restricted by making the skill trigger only when your life point is 1000 or less, so it's even harder for people to deliberately trigger the skill and stall with hand traps. There should also be a screen flash at the very beginning of the duel that tells the opponent that the player has Destiny Draw selected as their skill. Honestly, these changes should be enough to nerf this skill, and that I personally prefer, but knowing how Konami likes to do things, broken skills are often nerfed way more than they actually need. They would likely add a deck building restriction like onomatoplay, and force you to play stuff like Dark Magician support. They could also restrict what you can do after you use this skill. For example, you can only special summon one monster after you use this skill, or you can only summon Dark Spellcaster monsters or activate the effects of Dark Magician cards for the rest of the turn, something like that. I hate these kinds of restrictions, but I wouldn't complain as long as Destiny Draw gets nerfed enough. I know that it's very unlikely, but I also want other generic skills to be buffed, because I like the idea of having strong generic skills that any deck can use. Balance and Restart before their nerf were great consistency boosts to any deck that doesn't have an exclusive skill, and they don't encourage stalling like Destiny Draw does. It's a helpful consistency boost, but not strong enough for opponents to deliberately play around. When a deck using skills like Restart or Balance becomes meta, the problem is usually the cards in the deck itself and not the skill. Level modifying skills like level duplication and augmentation are nerfed too heavily before. They are really balanced skills on their own, and all they needed was to make their effects last until the end of the turn only to prevent interactions with cards like Hang On Mac. But Konami added a life point requirement on these skills for absolutely no reason, and now absolutely nobody uses them. Aside from nerfing Destiny Draw and limiting stalling hand traps, Konami should really consider buffing these other generic skills for at least a tiny bit so that other generic decks have some sort of good generic skill to use. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.